and the last session for today before Midsummer Party. And the last session would be about running commercial LARPs for Muggles. How to do it, how to lure them into our world. And all of that would tell you Miroslav Wranka, Ciro, our friend from Terrible Creation. Bravo!
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I know it's hard to get at the last presentation for today. I guess you all just can't wait to go to the party, and also the previous talk was really awesome, and I don't feel quite capable to follow it up as it should be, but I'll give my best. So. As Buddy said, my name is Miroslav Wranka. I'm from Croatia, from the company Terrible Creations. And I'm here to talk about how to run commercial LARPs for Muggles. I'll just give a minute or two for the legal department of Warner Bros. to come in and stop me from using their intellectual property. Okay, it's not going to happen. Let's move on then. So. This will be a bit smaller in scale than what the previous talk was about, but let me first give you some context so that you understand where are we coming from and what are we doing. So we are, as I said, we are a company. We were incorporated in 2017. We started working together in 2014, and we do mostly chamber or parlor LARPs. It depends which definition you use, but these are games for, let's say, up to 40 people that can be run either in closed spaces or in the open, and they don't last very long. We have a set of ready-made games that can be order, or you can commission a game from us for whatever you need. We are a 4-person team as a core team, but we do expand when we have other projects. So if we are running a game for 80 people, obviously it's not going to be just the 4 of us, it's going to be like 6 of us or 7 of us. So this team can get a little bit bigger. And last but not least, we are, for the time being, targeting the companies, mostly companies on the Croatian market. We did have some international work to do, but mostly we do with the Croatians. And who are the Muggles in our case? Well, we can kind of split them into 3 groups. One is companies or institutions that tend to render our services for team building, incentive networking, and other similar things. And this is the most, this is what brings us the most income. And this is the most work that we do. We work with companies. I often get a question whether these companies are predominantly IT. No, they're not. They came from various other fields. For example, in the last 2 games that we run, one was IT company, the other one was a pharmaceutical company. We also had people from kindergarten coming for team building. So there were like 17 ladies ranging from 25 to 60 playing a mafia game. It was really funny when they discovered that they can shoot each other. We ended up with 7 dead people. So yeah. Other big group is birthdays, bachelor parties, and similar occasions. This is still not a very big market for us, but we are trying to increase it. And the third group is a general public. We do games for general public twice a year, when there's not a plague going on, of course. And it's like going to a theater. You just buy a ticket and come and play one of our games. These games are mostly 20, 30, 40 people and take about 3 or 4 hours to run. The one exception of this rule was our castle game for, let's say, 40 people. And we did this only once. We hope to do it once again. But as a rule, we work with companies who have no idea what LARP is. So what have we learned in this last 5 or 8 years, depending on how you count? We made our first game in 2015 to 2016, and since then we created at least 15 or 16 games that you can order, and we run a ton of them. I mean, there's this a small game for 5 to 8 people. We run it over 100 times. There are games for 40 people that we run multiple times, a dozen or so. So basically, we have had like maybe a couple of thousand players so far in all. So what have we learned? I have prepared a list here. There's like 15 commandments, but basically they can be summed up in these 2 words, and it says prepare and kiss. With prepare, obviously, means you need to prepare, and kiss means keep it simple, stupid. So what do you need when you want to sell and run a game for a company or for anyone who is really not familiar with our favorite pastime? So you try to gather and obtain as much information as you can about them. This is not always easy, and GDPR is not making this any easier. But you need some basic information about your players. Obviously, you need a number, how many people you will have to cater to. It will be good to have their gender. Age is also a useful information. And if you can get some preferences about what would they like to play, that's also nice. We tend to send them questionnaires to fill in, and this almost always works. I say almost because we get companies pulling GDPR on us, and then we cannot do this. But when we can do this, it's usually enough to let us prepare the game in a decent manner. The trouble with this is that companies are, or any other organization that that commissions LARPs from us, are not always very forthcoming in terms of deadlines. So if we tell them we need this data at least a week before the game, well, we are lucky if we get them 3 days before a game. And then they complained that they didn't get their characters on time, or that they didn't have enough time to go through them and whatnot, and it's always our fault, you know. That's how it goes. Second item on this list is lose the lingo. People who are not in this circle of ours do not understand us when we talk about this. We at some point we stopped using LARP as anything. We went with role-playing game, and believe me, this is strange enough for them. Most of them have no previous experience in any kind of role-playing game, let alone LARP. And we go to very, very different ways to explain what is it all about. And we tend to avoid using the word act or acting, because that scares them as well. But I don't know how to act. What am I supposed to do? You don't know. You are not supposed to act. Let's just go with that. So lose the lingo. Whatever you think it's self-explanatory, it's not. Try to explain it as you would do with a very small child, and you'll be fine. Next one is make it familiar. It's very nice to have a big fantasy game when you have a big fantasy audience, but when you have a group of construction workers coming for a game from a rather small town in Croatia, they are not really getting into it, It's not something that you can sell them. So what do? You go with something that they might recognize, they might know about. Our choice was mafia, Italian mafia from the 20s and 30s, because when we go to a group and we ask, have you seen The Godfather? And they all raise their hands, and we say, okay, you know everything you need to know about this game. We'll just give you a couple of rules and we go and play. That's what I mean by make it familiar. So you need to find something that they can latch on and then get into. You always have to fight inhibitions. And with Muggles, inhibitions are way, way higher than with your average LARP player. Next, design with excess. What I mean by that is that you should really go for brutal design in any way and make as much content for them to play as it's possible for a given game. So if you think that one plot is enough or that two plots is enough, you should probably go with 5. We tend to do overlapping plots for several groups of players. That's one way to handle this. There are many other ways to do this. But you can never, over-design for them. You can never have enough content to throw at them, because they will get stuck, or they will not know what to do, or they will freeze, on something will happen, and you just need to point them to the right direction and say, okay, you can play this. Thou shalt not skip on workshop and debriefing. This is very important. Obviously, workshop, you can't really get them into a game if they don't know the rules and don't know how to play. I will get back to this later on, but let me say for now that you really, really need to do a really good workshop, very thorough, and take your time with it. This is not something you should rush. As for debriefing, these games that we run are rather short and not that immersive. Again, first-time players, and they don't know what. There's not much, bleed or de-rolling involved, but you need to wrap it up. I'm going to expand on this later. and ask them if they prefer a railroad to sandbox LARP, they will probably go. They will probably tend to a sandbox version. This is not the case with Muggles. Muggles need structure. Muggles need to be led by their hands. It sounds awful, I know, but consider this. They are more often than not, they are terrified of what they are about to experience. And if you give them any kind of certainty, that is a good thing. They will thank you for it. We even tell them where should they start the game, or how should they start the game. So you are standing next to the Don Angelo Bonifacio and you are trying to persuade him to do that and that. Why? Because otherwise they freeze, they don't know what to do. Again, you don't have a mixed group of players. You have 30 people from some company who may have read your character or may have not read their characters, and you need to get them going. So try to design as railroaded experience as possible. Address concerns and early concerns, early and individually. Most of them have problems with how to act in a situation that does not come natural to them. You need to, lower down these inhibitions and make them, give them certainty, give them some kind of way to feel safe to do what they are about to do. And this is especially a touchy subject in companies when they have to play with their boss. So if you can, give them time to talk to you one-on-one. Why? Because they might be scared to ask you something in public. Maybe they don't want to seem stupid, or they're concerned about something that they're not ready to share with others or whatnot. If you can do this, give them an opportunity for one-on-one talk. Stage directions. Again, this is not something that we commonly use in LARPs that are for LARPers, because they are often not really required. But for Muggles, it's a different thing. If you tell them your character is really angry at someone, or your character seeks revenge, and your character wants to do this and wants to do that, and you should play it like this, again, they will be thankful for this because they need it. It's a part of structure I've been talking earlier. It is not a bad thing to do. Show, don't tell means that if you can demonstrate something, it's always better than to tell about it. So you have a fighting mechanic in the game, show it. Take your NPC and have a fight. You have a magic cast or casting a spell or something like that, show it. Anything that you can show it to them, do it. And also, if you can do some kind of spiel LARP, let's say do one scene or several scenes just to show them the ropes, how to do this. Again, do it. It will work magic in the game. NPCs, yes, you need them. Even though you have to be cost aware when you're running games like this, and you try to cut down the GMs and the NPCs as much as you can, still you need them. Why? Well, NPCs are a great way to kickstart a game, to get it going. And also they can see whether some player is having trouble with his character or her plot line, and then just jump in and or send someone else to deal with the situation. So a well-trained NPC is your really good friend in this regard. Speaking of, you need to watch out for strugglers and troublemakers. Troublemakers are really rare. In all of our years of working with people who are playing for the first time, I think we can count them on one hand and still have some fingers left. It's probably because it's a group coming with, some kind of inhibitions, whether it's they're all colleagues at work or they know each other from, some other occasion. They tend not to make trouble. Probably the worst thing that happened to me personally was that I had a guy who fell asleep after the workshop and slept for the game. And I let him. I mean, you paid for it. I mean, if you don't want to participate, who am I to, push you? Struggles are a different thing, and you need really to keep your eyes open for them, because if you don't act and if you don't push them into the game, they will become bored and start talking about, the last football match or politics or whatever, and your immersion goes to shit. So that's why you need to, point them out and push them in the right direction. Lower your expectations. You have a certain set of expectations from player when you're playing with your fellow LARPers. Whatever that is, let's say we go with 20%. That doesn't mean that there are not really good players, first-time players, amazing first-time players. But on the average, in general, these guys will do fine, well. They will not be brilliant, they will not be great, they will not be any of those things. So if you're expecting less, you are less inclined to be, disappointed. Get feedback. Feedback is important because it helps you to improve your game, but also it makes you look more professional in their eyes, because you have like a system of quality assurance installed. It sounds really corporate, I know. I'm sorry for that, but well, this is what you do. So if you can, again, go for the either questionnaire or any other way to get feedback from your players. You might learn some really good stuff about game design this way. Acknowledge negative and reinforce positive experience. This is what the debriefings are for, among other things. We usually ask them what they liked about the game, what they didn't like about the game, or what could have been done better, and what was their favorite moment from the game. And we do a quick round. Everyone just gives a short answer to these questions. While we do that, we try to, we acknowledge that if there were problems, we acknowledge them. We thank for their feedback, and focus on the, the good parts. This helps, lift up the whole experience for them. And last but not least, hope for the best and assume the worst. In ideal case, you'll have a group of 30 players. They have all read their characters. They come in, they are ready, they are willing, they are eager. They all come in costumes, and they can't wait to, start playing. This does not happen very often. It does happen. It's not unheard of, but chances are there will be players who didn't read your characters, so you need to have these characters printed out so they can read it on spot. Chances are you have a player, as we did 1 year, who will buy the ticket, then ignore your emails, and then come to the game not knowing what it's all about. So we have a game that is set in 20s of the 20th century, and these guys are here in jeans and sports shoes, and around them are really, really well-dressed people. So what do? You go to your warehouse and you pen out some clothes for these guys, because you're not going to send them home. They are a paying customer, even though they're idiots. So again, you need to prepare and expect that something will go wrong, and you do your best to accommodate. Or be ready for that. Well, I think we have like 4 minutes left, so I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you. I guess you're tired and want to go to party, and I can relate to that. If there are any questions, I can take them now, or we can do this later on. Yeah, go.
Thank you for the presentation. Where do you find mostly your customer? What are your strategy and which platform you use for finding clients?
Okay, most of our customers at the moment come through referrals. So either from the let's say tourist agencies that we worked with before, friends, co-workers, that sort of thing. We haven't started yet to do the cold calls yet. We will at some point. Okay.
Then, thank you very much. Thank you, Miroslav Wranka, Ciro. And I can tell you, I've been playing. I'm not a Muggle, but I've been playing his LARP, and I love it. So I totally recommend it. Go to Croatia and check it. Thank you very much for today. Thank you, Ciro. And we see each other on a party, midsummer party. If you have costume, take costume. We have a reward, which comes from a Polish crafter for the best costume. So it's worth it. But also, it's not necessary, so you can just go as you are, so don't worry. But if you have, you are welcome. You can expect a little surprises already there. There might be some making and queen waiting for you and asking stuff, but don't worry. They will be merciful. See you at the party.